Hey guys, this is Kay Journey. I am back today with actually a bullet journal setup. Let me explain. um, so if you guys watched my video at the beginning of the year about my huge planner stack and all the different things that I was doing, well, then January happened, and I realized that part of why I was not able to kind of pull myself out of burnout and stay on task was because I had overcomplicated everything. Um, so this week I just kind of took stock of, what I was feeling, what I was thinking, um, and kind of what I wanted to change. And I decided that I was going to really simplify everything instead of having a separate place for chores and grocery lists and whatnot. I was just going to have it all in one place, which is something that I kind of struggle with sometimes because I struggle with remembering to flip back and forth. However, one of the other reasons that I jumped back into this is because none of the layouts were working for keeping track of my time. Um, but I do remember something that used to work for me, and that was rapid logging, the bullet journal. You write the day and then you write like what time you're doing something. Let me see. Am I willing to share this? So, like, I got some things on there, whatever. So Tuesday, I woke up at 4 and I took a shower. So 4:30 a.m. crossed off the shower and then, replotting a book. Um, and then at, 6:13, I reheated my coffee and I took a break and, that kind of thing. So, being able to track my time like that is a bit more effective than having the hourly layout with every half hour, because I'll find that, something will take me 5 minutes, but I'll have to write it in for the full half an hour, and it kind of gets really messy. Or I'll have hours where I don't have anything new to write because I'm working on the same project for hours. Um, and then in the evenings, I'm not really planning my time at all. About, I want to say like 2 o'clock, my time tracking is done because I go and I pick up my youngest daughter, and then, I have family stuff to do, and that's, not time bound. That's whatever we feel like doing, because, that's family life. That's doing chores and snuggles and dinner and all the things. So that's not planned out at all, and I don't want to keep track of it in my bullet journal. So what I'm really looking at is between 5 in the morning, usually. Some days I wake up at 4 in the morning for absolutely no reason. No reason. There was none there. I just did it, and it was very sad. But anyway, so some days I'm going to wake up like that, and other days I'm going to wake up with my alarm clock at 5. So from about 5:15 to 2 in the afternoon, that's the only time that I really want to be keeping track of. And then on the weekends, not at all. So instead of going and buying yet another planner, because I'm really trying to work on maintaining systems, which I'm struggling with, I decided to move into this. I showed you guys this previously. So these are the systems that I'm trying to implement. And it's been a real struggle because I'm like, oh, I need a time-bound planner in order to really implement this. Well, no, I really don't, because I have all this time that's really all the same thing. And so it kind of was like this big mental back and forth where I just got really in my head about it. And on top of that, I wasn't accomplishing anything. I've been really struggling with keeping on task with my writing. And I had to replot a couple of things. That's why there's replot in there. I actually solved one of the major problems yesterday. I'm so excited because it's a 9 point of view book that I'm working on right now. And there's a group of people that go this way, and a group of people that go this way, and a group of people that go this way, and the group that's going this way, I kind of, there's a lot of interpersonal drama, because I'm not going to get into it, but there's a lot of interpersonal drama this way for very, very good reasons. And it needs to be kind of shelved in a way until they get through the book. But unfortunately, it's not going to be shelved. So it needs to be dealt with. And they're hoping to shelve it, but they can't. So throughout it, I was really I gave myself vague instructions of what I wanted to do with them, and I really just needed to narrow it down and create a better idea. And in the process, I added really cool side quest things to it. And I'm much, much happier with it. Instead of a vague, okay, they had an argument here. They argued about this and then this happened, because each scene needs to have, multiple reasons for the scene. So it's, to set up where they're going, what they're doing, who they're interacting with, and what's happening between each of the characters. and getting the feel and moving the plot forward. Every scene needs to have kind of all of that in it. So, and having the plan of just they had an argument doesn't, at this moment in time, it doesn't make me want to write that scene. It makes me want to go, I'll deal with that later. It's too complicated. It's too overwhelming. And most of the time I plot very specifically with just events in mind without the characters' emotional reactions because I want to discovery write those for the most part. But I'm finding that with that plot line, I really needed to break that rule and make it very clear what's going to happen with them emotionally, just so that I can emotionally get through writing those scenes without being like triggered, because there's things that happen along the way that are actually very personal to me. I'm kind of working through some issues in that timeline and it gets a little overwhelming to write if I don't know specifically what I'm going to do with it. And so I just kind of shelve it. So I've got like 8 scenes from that timeline that I just cut, or not that I cut, but I skipped. And so I'm trying not to do that. So anyway, there's my long-winded way of saying I'm setting up a bullet journal. And I have actually already started. So I created, in an effort to improve enthusiasm here, I just went into Procreate on my iPad and I stole a bunch of pictures off of Pinterest, but that one's mine, and added some words. And so this is kind of my my vision board for what I'm aiming towards, what I'm hoping for. I really want to move into our first house. I really want to start a garden and I want to grow our own food, and I really want to be making good money writing. So these are all the things that I'm aiming for. And then I've got my future log and I've got some things blocked off there because, frankly, that's none of your business. No offense. Here's my YouTube plan. So obviously I've got some gaps here, which is cool. It gives me room to breathe. I do actually have a vlog planned for every month, just because I do kind of miss it, but I want to change how I'm formatting it. So that's going to be adjusted. That's next week. Will be, hopefully, if I don't just jump completely off track again, it will be a vlog. And then I've got, so these are actually broken up into 13 weeks, but we are already, we're up here in January, but it's going to start there. Anyway, we're like right there. So this is the plan for the rest of the year. There's week 13 and then another week 13 and then, 13 and the end of the year. And these are all the projects that I want to do. So this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are, the 3,000 words a day. That's my goal that I'm aiming for. But I actually missed that. I'll add in the dashes there. But my goal is to, on weekends, write 1,500 words a day. And then basically what I want is I want to be writing at minimum 1,500 words every single day for the rest of the year. And that's not going to be feasible. I know that not every day is going to have this. This is a habit that I am trying to build, and I know I'm going to fall off. I fell off yesterday. I wasn't even able to accomplish it yesterday. However, this is the goal. This is the system that I'm trying to implement. I really want to be writing at minimum 1,500 words every single day. If I do that, I will reach my goals. And if I over aim, like if I get 3,000 words a day on weekdays, I'm going to hit my goals really, really fast. In fact, I'm going to hit my goals faster than this chart says I will, which is awesome. So my goals for this year are 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, this says 4 books on it. I'm hoping to get 5 books. But that was counting the book club book, and I was hoping to edit it, and that's how I was going to get 5 books in this year. And that's now no longer on the plan unless I get this all done a little bit earlier, and then I might edit the book club book. But for right now, with all of the goals that I've got going on right now, I'm shelving the book club book. Because it's a passion project that I can work on later. Right now, I want to focus on my main series and push on this really hard and start really trying to make some money this year, because with everything that's going on in the political climate, it's time to up my income and move. So that's the goal. And then, let's see, we jump into, okay. Yeah, I glued these pages together. So these are these inexpensive dot markers that I got that I actually really, really like. I very much enjoy them. They're very pretty. They show up on this paper better than the Zig dot markers. The Zig dot markers show up like these faint dots here. Those are the Zig markers. And they just, the very, very faint. Whereas these, are like pow in your face. And then they, they're dual tipped, so I can make the dash marks with the same color and things like that. So I'm really, really happy with these. However, they seep through, some of them, not all of them, but some of them really bleed through the page. They ghost really bad. And I'm fine with ghosting, but I'm not fine with bleeding. I'm not fine with looking at my page from the other side and seeing all of the marks. Like, that makes me very uncomfortable. So anyway, we are actually restarting this as this is my Q1. So for February and March, this will be my header page, and then we'll jump into the February setup. So I'm actually going to, if I can get that back in frame, I'm going to move into a speed through and voiceover, and I can talk, and let's go do that. So the first thing that I wanted to add here was kind of like a dashboard page for Q1. What I wanted just kind of a place where I could just brain dump some of the things that I wanted to get done over the next couple of months and just get like an eagle eye view of the rest of this kind of quarter, 12 week plus the 13th week of kind of rest that, let's be real, I will not be using for rest. I will be using to catch up, but it's fine. It's fine. It's all going to be okay. So I kept this really simple, and probably entirely too simple, because I actually didn't know what I wanted or how I wanted to set it up. One of the things that I like about this notebook and about the way that I'm setting this up, though, is that I can always add a tip in there if I need to. I'm not worried about it, which is a benefit of having a bullet journal over a printed planner, because I have, the space to put in a tip in if I want to without it actually disrupting things. So here I'm jumping into my February monthly setup, and I'm running head first smack into that freaking thing that I can't stand the most about bullet journaling, which is all of the extra work that it requires in order to get these basic things down. Like, this is the reason why I quit bullet journaling in the first place. I was tired of making these. So what I think I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be trying to get out of my own way and out of my head and put the ruler down, quit trying to make it perfect, and when I jump into March, just kind of trying to freehand it and allow mistakes to be what they are. Perfection is not the goal. It's not attainable. So let's let it go. Maybe. Perhaps. Maybe. And for anyone who's saying, but you just set up one of these monthlies last week for your writing notebook and you weren't complaining then, I was complaining on the inside. Just gonna cut out me cracking myself up there. Anyway, so the problem with bullet journaling that really stopped me a couple of years ago was how much time it takes. And that's really what the complaint is. It's not that it's not pretty enough, although it would be nice if it were prettier. It's not that I don't or can't redevelop the skills to do this better. It's that it takes me hours to do it, and I don't want to. So I'm heading into this with a mindset of simplicity, and then I plan on getting more complex as we go. So for now, it's bare bones. It is the monthly overview of all of the goals that I have, plus the tasks that I have. This will have, all of my mom stuff and all of my writing and all of it all together, which is going to feel really overwhelming, but will probably also really help me kind of realize that I don't have as much time as I think I have. I'm also, as we move forward and I figure out exactly what pages I want, I will be embracing the whole printed labels thing. I know I don't want to continue having to write out all of these labels and headers and things like that, but while I'm in flux and I'm kind of figuring out exactly how I want to set this up, I'm just going to continue having them handwritten out, which means that I will have to embrace a whole lot of mistakes, which is fine. Another thing that I completely cut from my bullet journal is a page dedicated to habit tracking and a page dedicated to mood tracking. I used to create these really complex and interesting and intricate pages for this, and I used to make them super colorful and then just not use them. So I'm saving myself the effort, but I am thinking about adding something to this that's not actually in this video, but just kind of dawned on me while I'm making this video. I want to create kind of a Kanban board style task tracker for the quarter, but instead of it being a bunch of sticky notes, maybe have it be like a big Alistair method kind of tracker where it's like I write like which scenes I need to be written, and then I, cross them off on the day that they're written or the month that they're written or something. I don't know. It just kind of, the concept just jumped into my head. So if I do end up making that, I will totally update you guys about it. And here I am using those Zig dot liners, dot markers. Geez. And I'm having to do it twice to get the color to even show up on this paper. This paper is like really thick. It's really nice, but it is also cream colored, and getting markers that are this pale to show up on it requires doubling up on the color just to get the pigment to show, which is really unfortunate because I love these notebooks and I actually really like my dot markers. But now I've got new ones that are a bit more saturated and darker in color, so those show up better. So I will probably be using those moving forward, but I still haven't figured out which ones bleed through the paper and which ones don't. And I'm not even sure that I actually like this color palette together. The green marker that I use underneath the labels, that light green color, doesn't really go with a darker green color or with the zig dot marker. It's a little too saturated, it's a little too bright, it's a little bit too punchy. But unfortunately or fortunately or whatever the heck you want to call it, it is on there and it is staying, so I am just going to move forward with it. I'm trying to get myself to move away from using purple compulsively for everything. My favorite color is actually burnt orange. I am that obnoxious person. However, lately, I seem to be using purple for literally everything. And I'm kind of annoying myself with it. So I'm desperately trying to stay away from purple here, but I don't think I'm going to. In fact, I have a feeling that purple will show up on these pages whether I intended to or not. So here's something that I actually added to my planners after I started jumping into planners. I created a budget for myself. However, unfortunately, you are going to see me just freehand this poorly. I do such a bad job with the word budget and the word gratitude. Like, I did such a bad job that I actually could not move on and had to just glue these pages together and redo it because, wow, I was not going to be able to look at that ever. So I just flipped to the next page that I had already planned on having for something else and ended up having to tear out the Tuesday rapid logging page to make room for it, which is one of the pluses and downsides of being in a bound notebook is that I can't just move the page out and add a new page in. I have to rip it out. However, one of the benefits of being in a bound notebook is that I'm not moving things around all the time. I'm not compulsively going, oh, this would be better over here. It's in the order that it's in. And if it's not in the order that it's in, then it's torn out. And again, even with like redoing these pages, I still ended up screwing up a couple of times really badly. Like, I feel like this budget page is just cursed. And you're going to see like some of it I could fix and some of it I couldn't. And when I get to the weekly, it's like overwhelmingly just, oh God. Yeah, I screwed up a lot. And, you know, there were some places where I could fix it, like by cutting out a piece of paper from the back, which you'll see, and covering over things. And there's some places where I was just like, it's not as big of a problem as I think it is. I'm just going to leave it. Or I might go back and fix it later, like where I did that line right next to my bills. That line that goes straight up, that's way past where it's supposed to be. I might cover that up later. I might not. But I did end up covering up the word checking right there, but below savings. I think I was like heard the word chicken in the middle of writing checking. I was watching a movie and I ended up like writing a weird hybrid of the two. And I had to cover it up. I couldn't live with it. And because this page is going to be used as often as it will be used, which is actually a lot more often than my monthly tracker, I do want to make it actually usable and not obnoxious. However, you can still see the previous like headers from like ghosting from the other page and some of the pencil there that will eventually be erased. So, I don't know. I think washi tape is going to become a really good friend of mine again. I used to be like obsessed with washi tape when I was doing bullet journaling, and I think it's going to be my new best friend all over again. Which, funnily enough, is actually one of the few things that I do miss about bullet journaling was how creative I used to be in my bullet journal. I'm not saying that I want to invest the kind of time in it that I used to. I used to make these very elaborate spreads, and I definitely don't want to be jumping back into that. That's something that I'm actively trying to avoid. But at the same time, there were things that really brought me a lot of joy that I have been missing since I've been in a printed planner, like being able to creatively put in, side notes to myself that are at a funky angle, or, strips of washi that are just for fun, just for color. For some reason, in a printed planner, that always feels really disingenuous to me. It feels like it doesn't fit, even though like I see it in other people's planners and I think it looks beautiful, but in mine, somehow it always felt really, really awkward. Whereas in a bullet journal, it feels really natural to me. This glue that I'm using here is actually like really cheap glue, and sometimes I really hate it because it doesn't stick as well, and sometimes, like right now, I love it because I can pull it apart and re-stick it down the way that it's supposed to be. If that was permanent, that would have been stuck there all kind of skewed and off, and it would have made me sad. And now we are at my weekly setup, and I'm ashamed of this weekly setup. I left it in because I'm going to use it, but it is absolutely the least inspiring setup I think I've ever done in a bullet journal or planner or anything ever. So this setup is just very, very, very basic, and I'm doing this on Wednesday. So why did I feel the need to throw in Monday and Tuesday in there? I don't know. And you just saw me throw my hands up because I actually dated them wrong, and I'm gonna leave it. I will use the parts that I need to use, and I will move on, and I will let it go. And hopefully next week I will come up with a better weekly plan. Okay, guys, now that you've watched me struggle bust my way back into bullet journaling, I am so out of practice, it's wild. I've made quite a few mistakes. I tried to fix some of them, and some of them I just moved on from because it is what it is. So let's do a flip through of the beginning of this again. So we've got my vision board, yearly log, future log, whatever you want to call this. Get back in frame here. Future log, these I just printed out. I made these before for the other setup in the Erin Condren, and I just printed it out smaller and cut it out and put it in here. And then my YouTube plan and my writing plan, and then jumping into Q1, I got to remember why I love the colors of these, but they just barely show up at all. So I had to do these twice. And anyway, it is what it is. I'm actually excited to fill this out, but I didn't want to fill it out on screen because, well, some of it's, private. And then my February monthly, I did double and I missed right there. It is what it is. My goals, no big deal. My tasks over here, again, I had to double up. I went with green because I really am not a big fan of the like pink and red that is Valentine's Day and all of that stuff. I just, it hurts my eyeballs when there's that much of it. So I decided on green just because it goes really well with the purple pen that I have been constantly using. I will likely come in and fill this in with purple pen, as we go. I did green here, but that's probably not going to stay. Like, let's be real. And then you guys saw me wildly mess up those pages. In fact, I messed up this one too. But I messed up the headers. I kind of freehanded them, and I was like, this is why I don't do that. And so here's a highlight of another thing that drives me nuts about bullet journaling that I really need to get over, is that I'm constantly using a ruler, and I make mistakes anyway. So I need to move on from that. Another trick that I use with bullet journaling so that these lines don't feel as oppressive as like big, thick black lines is to use a gray micron. I actually really prefer these for the lines. When I was doing bullet journaling before and I would create all of this in thick black ink, it was really, just really obtrusive. It was too much for me, which is one of the reasons why I like printed planners, because they print them in a softer shade. But anyway, so here's my budget, my bills, when they're due and how much, my income and how much, purchases and my balance and my savings and checking. I'll do start of the month and end of the month. My gratitude. I have not done gratitude, I want to say in like 2 weeks. I have not written in my gratitude list because it was in a separate planner. I'm very much looking forward to having this just be one of the first pages that I open to. I might even put a marker on it, and yeah, because I want to be doing this every day. It's weird how much having a gratitude list changes the way you view your day. And doing this every morning was really, really helpful for me for years. So I'm really excited to get back into it. And then I had no idea what I wanted to do for a weekly. We are here. and I wrote down the wrong date because I was like, oh yeah, it's the 28th. So, it made sense. No, it's the wrong date. So I just wrote over it. I don't care. I'm going to move on with my life. These don't need to be perfect because what I'm really doing is the rapid logging. So I'm going to recopy the page that I tore out. This is why I'm also no longer in a Loic term. I do not want a binding where my pages are stuck in there and I have to like rip them away from the binding. I would much rather have this where it's like, okay, I pulled it out, but it makes room on the rings for when I want to add a bunch of stickers in here. Because I will likely, as this moves forward and as I get more comfortable in it, I will likely be pulling out things like my happy planner stickers and throwing them in there because they do make me very happy, and I was enjoying using them, but I was really struggling with using them in a way that was effective in the planners. As much as there's a bazillion videos out there about how to do it, I'm not the make a cluster here that's over 3 days and hopefully it'll fall in the right day kind of person. I'm not that kind of person. I need it structured. And then the structured, like Erin Condren style layouts, where they used to do the, this line is pictures and this line is to-dos and this line is whatever, like those kind of old layouts. Those also didn't work for me either because they're too rigid. So I wanted something that was a little bit more flexible, for, especially for days where I'm just not doing anything. I have planners that have just like a full week of there's something on Monday, and then none of it's filled out because I was, rapidly trying to get through things. And so I would take an index card, make a list of what I needed to get it done, throw the card away. And the problem with that is that when I do that, I am not giving myself credit for all the things that I've gotten done. And so I feel like instead of feeling like I'm accomplished something, I'm just relieved that it's off my plate. And so what I'm trying to do, one of the things that I'm trying to do for my mental health is to recognize how much I'm doing and how hard I'm working and to actually appreciate myself for doing it. So anyway, and also to see where I'm epically failing. So anyway, that's the beginning of my bullet journal. We'll see how this goes. I mean, if I do it for the next 6 months, I'll be really happy. I've got, year-long pages in here, but that's because I'm going to take all of my other planners, I'm going to pack them up, and I'm going to plan on turning them into one of them. The Nightmare Before Christmas one is going to be turned into my new tarot planner. I'm just going to do tarot cards every day in that, and I think that'll be great. And the other ones, I'm just setting aside. If I want to use them later, I can redate them. Like, there are tools to make them still usable. I'm not throwing them away, but I also might just take them and turn them into writing notebooks. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But for now, I am very relieved. I'm going to copy Tuesday over, and then I'm going to write down what I did today, and just kind of move forward. And as I create better weekly plans, because this is like really, really basic, I might show you guys those like randomly, sporadically throughout, the weeks or something. But for the most part, it's going to be a very simple, these are the tasks that I need to get done on these days. I don't want the full spread because a full weekly spread is mostly completely unnecessary for me. Except when I add in food and chores. So it might become a 2-spread thing. It might not. For this week, it's not. I can't be bothered. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've made it to the end here and you've seen all of my mistakes and you can just kind of laugh at me with me and we can move forward together because I'm just going to move on. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.